right, guys, what's poppin'? So tonight I've got a couple of things I'm working on, but first and foremost, I've got a Surface Pro 7 Plus, I think, or something like that here. Anyway, regardless of what it is, I actually pulled the screen out of it already. So I kind of saved you that step of having to be bored watching me do that, I suppose. So I made a couple of mistakes when I did that. The first being that I pulled the Wi-Fi cable off of the pad that it was attached to. So a reattachment of that is in order for the new screen, and a detachment of that Wi-Fi cable from the pad. So not sure you're going to be able to see all this super well, but basically what I have to do is get out the new screen and transplant the cables and the pieces off of this old screen onto the new screen that it requires. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the new screen opened up here. And I hope you like the view from up there. It's kind of a permanent place for that camera now. It's sitting on top of my, I have like a schedule board here that shows me customers that have booked appointments and things of that nature. And also just like general calendar events for myself. And there's a to-do list at the bottom. It's actually a really cool project if you want instructions on how to do it. It's all digital. But it's just, I bought a cheap little display over at the pawn shop. It's an ultra-wide display, LG ultra-wide display that I bought at the pawn shop for probably $75. Way underpriced, and sorry, my allergies are kicking in. I think that's kind of why I've got a little bit of a headache right now. But, which reminds me to take some meds. Anyway, back to the point at hand here, which is basically that the calendar that I made is super nifty. I don't know if you've heard of DAC board before or not, but that is actually what it is. So if you have a chance to look it up, look up a DAC board. It's a super simple and really fun pie project too. So I thought it was a fun pie project. It was easy. And again, I'm going to cut this tape away carefully because these screens are so fragile. These are like, I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with a laptop screen, those are fragile, but a Surface screen, woof, way worse, way worse. So all I'm doing here, carefully cutting the masking tape around the edge, and then I'm going to go ahead and just pull it off here. I don't know why they bothered to package it that way. They already have it sandwiched between a bunch of foam. And honestly, the tape just kind of makes it more difficult, but it is what it is. Just the mere act of having to pull the tape up is what's making me nervous. So I'm going to go ahead and just roll the tape up and fold it kind of back on itself, since we really don't need to do too much crazy with the tape aside from just detach it from the cardboard. Folding it back on itself is enough. Just get it out of the way and not cause issues going forward. And like I said, I'm sorry if you notice some heavy breathing. I am having some sinus issues tonight, so the show must go on, right? Alright, so that's all folded back on itself. Now I should be able to just gently pick up this screen. And of course there's more tape. This time not masking tape, but like packaging tape holding that shut. Oh my gosh, are you serious? So I actually do have to pull this up, because it folds over. This is annoying. Alrighty. There we go. So, there are some instructions on this guy. So I'm going to just take care with the installation here. I'm going to go ahead and set the surface aside a little bit so I can get a better look at what I actually need to transplant here. So let's take a look. We've got notes on the screen installation. The screens are strictly tested by quality inspectors, blah, 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 before shipment. Okay, that's nice to know, I guess. When the screen is installed, the screen display is normally, and when it's found that the touch doesn't work, please contact us as soon as possible. Don't rush to refund. If it cannot be touched, check whether the touch cable is installed correctly, or replug the touch cable to test. Check whether the touch cable is connected properly and whether the touchscreen cable is broken. Whether the screen system has been upgraded. If you need to upgrade the system, you need to go to the System Touch Setting page to update the settings. If you have any questions, please contact staff immediately. That's fine. You know what? This is actually the same company I got a laptop screen from earlier in the week, so that's nifty. Alrighty, so on this old one, there was actually a pad for the Wi-Fi antenna, and it just simply doesn't exist on this new screen, so I don't know what I'm really supposed to do about that. I don't know if it matters too much, but it's just not there. So there's a cable connector here, and it appears to be covered up, so I think that's already taken care of. There are cables here and here, and it looks like this whole system has to come out and get transplanted right there onto this corner of the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The first step, I guess, is to pull it all gently off of the old board, or off of the old screen. Just slide things out of the way here. And so a lot of times these can just simply be removed. If you're gentle enough, this part here just pulls right up, but I'm not looking to break any cables today, so I'd really like this to be fairly simple, because I don't want to replace connectors. That is not what I'm in the business of doing. Okay, so we ripped one cable connector, but that's fine, because we don't actually need the cable itself, we just need the connector freed up. But as long as we're not ripping the cable that's staying with the board, or that's staying with the screen or whatever it is, then we're okay. It is really, really tough to get this metal piece off of here. Usually they are not this tough, but I've actually found with the surfaces that they tend to be a little bit more difficult. Namely just, you know, they're essentially what this is this is a little PCB, but the PCB has these little ribbon cables on it. And so with the ribbon cables, you've got to be careful when you're pulling it apart, because there's a metal shield on the top. And if I cared about what happened to the original ribbon cables, with the exception of the one that I'm trying to keep on here, I would probably be more careful, but I'm not going to, because I don't care. And we're not putting the metal shield back on here because it's just not a necessity. So we're going to get this to a point where we can remove it, and then we'll transplant it. And so these are just little clip-in connectors, similar to like if you ever change the touchpad out on a laptop, they just simply click in like so. I'm going to scooch this over here. I'm going to push all that junk aside. Now these are held down with more masking tape, and hopefully not as sticky of a masking tape, because I don't want to rip the new ribbon cables on the screen. This is actually more sticky than the original, so I'm having to hold down the ribbon cable pretty solidly and pull gently away with this masking tape. Man alive, do they make bad decisions when manufacturing these things. Okay, pull this away. And there's still more masking tape to pull off. I don't know why they decided that masking tape was a necessity here. These screen manufacturers or something else. And all the while I'm trying to keep the screen gently pushed down too, that way I don't risk bending it or flexing it too much while doing any of this work. Come on. So I'm going to be completely forthright with you here and tell you I've never done a Surface screen replacement before. I've done screen replacements on other touchscreen devices and they've all been wildly successful, but I've just never done one on a Surface before. So that's not saying anything really, because Surfaces are just one of many. But it's kind of like if you went to go get your cell phone screen replaced, same concept, just like 5 times bigger, because it's a Surface tablet. Okay. This is being a little difficult because it doesn't want to fit in there all the way on both sides. This first ribbon cable. Let's try... I'm trying not to set it down because it does have a fair bit of adhesive on the bottom of this thing. But the little clip keeps wanting to close on it before it's even seated all the way, so I have to be, again, extra careful. Come on, little clip, just stay up there. Okay. I can already tell this is going to be probably the most challenging part of this for me. Okay, there we go. Both sides are slid in fairly equally. Go ahead and push the clip down now. Now it doesn't want to go down. That just tells me that it's in correctly. So, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but it's true. If it's in properly, then it won't, the clip will have some resistance when you go to close it. So, it's actually clamping the cable down. Second one is in and clamp down. So now we just take that and we fold the whole unit back onto the screen. I think we're still a little too close to the edge. I don't like how close that is to the edge, so I'm going to see if I can pull it a little bit closer towards the inside here with these clips still engaged. Pressing gently to try and just refirm that connection. I don't know, guys. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm a little unsure. There's currently no glue on any of it, so I'm okay to test fit it, but see, that's going to go over here on this left-hand side towards the bottom. I guess there's enough real estate for it at this point. I guess it looks okay. Alrighty, so that first cable setup is done. Now there's a second cable that I have to pull, and you can probably see it on this old screen here, so I'm going to go ahead and slide the new screen back to the side again. And we've got yet again another metal cover. Annoying as all get out. Yeah, that's so strange where that's located too. It's just right there. Is that actually a Wi-Fi antenna? Sorry guys, I'm going to dink around with this for half a second. It's actually legitimately just a Wi-Fi antenna I have to resolder. No big deal. It just stuck to the screen, so I'll just resolder the antenna back to that point, and then we'll stick it back in the surface here. Okay, so this is another metal clippy part here. Metal clip cover thing. There we go. Removed. Now, you can try and put these back in place if you want, but it's going to be freaking impossible. And they're, like I said, totally unnecessary. Like, you don't actually need the covers. They're just kind of there, so. And I'm going to try not to pull that from the cable part of it. So in this situation, because it's such a fine point, I'm going to go for something that's plastic and won't damage the connector, but is still pointy enough and sturdy enough to disconnect it. I know I've got one of those tools around here somewhere. My drawer here is usually full of them. I don't trust these weird looking spudgers, but there we go. Pulled that up well, nothing bent, because I used the plastic part. Okay, that's looking good. So basically all the parts that we needed removed from this screen are now removed. So both cables and everything. So, yay! Gently reseat this connector. Maybe. These are ones that I am always so afraid of messing up. Because they have to be seated like just right. Also, you saw how tough it was for me to get that cable out of there with just that little spudger. It took a fair bit of force, and I don't like having to force these things back in, but clipped in with almost no difficulty whatsoever. That was wonderful. So far, this is going pretty great. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very happy with how the results are turning out so far. So, yes, 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 yes. Okay. So, like I said, I've got that Wi-Fi antenna that I just have to get soldered back into place here. And I don't know if I want to do that while it's attached to the screen or not, but looks like it was right there. I think what I'll do here is I'll reattach it with the soldering iron, and then I will go ahead and put the cable back in place and set that pad down. So this is actually where I'm going to pause the video and just let you know that this did not go as planned. The cable was unable to be resoldered to the pad on the Wi-Fi antenna, so I just stopped here because there's no point in dragging the rest of this out for you, and give you the second video as part of this one, just because that's all there is to it. The second one is where I make the progress, so enjoy. What is up, guys? So I'm back again. I'm doing another video in the same day because I got more parts today. So I've been waiting for some parts to come in, and for this particular Surface, I've been waiting for a Wi-Fi antenna to come in, and it finally came in. And oh boy, am I grateful that it was in this little plastic tube, because the packaging was very ripped and damaged on the corner. And had it not been in this plastic tube, Lord knows what would have happened. So here we are. We already tested this screen out and made sure that it worked. The previous Wi-Fi antenna got kind of destroyed. Not on purpose either. It was definitely an accident. But it's kind of one of those things that is typically destroyed when you go to pull out, when you go to pull the screen off, because you kind of have to use a blade for it and to get in there really fine. But anyway, regardless, we're going to get back to replacing this today and get it fixed up. Today will be a little bit better view, because since I last talked to you folks, I have a new camera. So I decided to put that one as the top-down camera and this one as the primary viewing camera right here in front of me. And it's made life significantly easier, I'll just say that. So I did organize my little bits, but let's see what I got here. I believe it was T4 was the size that I needed. So basically I have to kind of lift the fan a little bit here and be extra careful when I'm putting this Wi-Fi antenna back in, because I don't want to bend any heat pipes or anything on the Surface. But this Wi-Fi antenna, the place where it attaches is just below this heat pipe right here. So I'm sorry, my hand is in the way, but the Wi-Fi antenna as a whole right here, so it goes right here like so, and then this side of the Wi-Fi antenna attaches here, and then the other side attaches right there. So I have to get it all back in there without issue. So that's what we're doing. We're going to finish putting this bad boy together and get this job done, because I'm tired of it being here. When it comes to having to order parts for this thing, the screen wasn't bad, but the Wi-Fi antenna, oh boy. Oh boy. Not easy to find. This is a Surface Pro 7 Plus, so basically a large version of a regular Surface. And it looks like it's running Kali Linux on it, so nice OS. Interesting choice for a Surface, but nice nonetheless. So I can kind of differentiate. I know where those screws go. They're all the same, except for one, which goes right here in a larger hole. So, but initially, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the screws that actually hold in the Wi-Fi antenna and get those in position. And I also saw that the old antenna has a couple of sensors that the new one does not, that I might have to move over. I don't know if they're essential for operation, but I'm gonna... Dang, that one screw really stuck in there. Okay. But I'm definitely gonna remove them and scooch them over, because... So this is the old Wi-Fi antenna, and this is the new Wi-Fi antenna. And so the old Wi-Fi antenna has a sensor here and a sensor here, and I don't know what those sensors are, but I assume they're kind of important. So I'm just going to remove them and move them over here, because this doesn't have them currently. So it looks like they just kind of stick down. So I'm just going to be a little careful when pulling them off here. Be gentle, I guess, is what I'll say. Looks like maybe it's a light sensor or something like that for the camera. That would make a lot of sense. And we have another one right here. And they come out fairly easily. Just about getting them back in correctly. Hopefully these are my good tweezers. I don't really have any good tweezers. My tweezers are all over the place these days in terms of quality. These were once good tweezers, but you know, sometimes I have to use my tweezers for things that are a little hard on them. Okay, so there we go. We've got the sensors back in place. We've got this guy here, which is kind of in the way, but we'll scooch it as much as we can. We'll see if we can get this guy repositioned. I am trying to be super duper 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 uber gentle. Oh, there is a screw right there that I missed. There we go. It's just another one of the screws that holds things in place. Super duper duper, as I was saying, duper 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 uber gentle. Make sure I actually put the correct piece back in place here. That was my personal cell phone that made that weird sound, because that's just how it sounds. Okay, there we go. Get the flash on the camera pushed in there. There we go. Booyah. All right. That's looking pretty dang good, if I say so myself. Okay, so I got it in there, but I think I need to pull it back up a little bit. I just want to be sure that everything is positioned properly, that all of our cables are in the correct spots. I know I'm being a little anal about it, but I need to be, because I really don't want any more issues. I've certainly dealt with enough of them. But I want to route this Wi-Fi antenna underneath of this cable here. And sometimes it's not super cooperative when I need to do things like that. There we go. Came through. Come on, guy. So the reason that I'm having to replace the Wi-Fi antenna is because the pad broke off on the last one. It's not a huge deal. Like I said, it's pretty common when you're replacing these screens. You just have to be super duper careful. And even though I was super duper careful, it still broke. So, okay, so the camera is being a nuisance here. The cable that goes into the camera. It's a little difficult because I have to route this through here. But then I also have to like lift it up in a very specific way. How many of you have the patience to do this kind of work? Just out of curiosity, leave it in my comments below. How many of you think you could do this? And not strictly from a I have the technical prowess, but from a patient's perspective. Like, how many of you think you would throw this thing across the room and just go buy a new Surface? There we go. There we go. Oh, we're so close. So close. I just have to lift up on this cable. I need to keep it lifted while pushing. Lift and push. Haha! There we are. So we made it past the little channel that it routes through here. So I'm going to I'm going to pick the cable up out of the channel for the time being and pull it through, because it's where we want it to go, is all the way over here to the Wi-Fi antenna on the board. Make its connection. I'm sorry if you hear me heavy breathing. My allergies are getting the best of me right now. I was just outside. Whew, boy. It's something else out there right now. Not terrible, but something's in the air. Come on. Come on. Make sure both my sensor cables are pulled out of the way so I can actually push the Wi-Fi antenna into place. There we go. Okay. We might be getting a visit from the Willow here momentarily. She went to her bed, which means she doesn't want to be in here with me, which it doesn't offend me. She's a puppy. She gets to do what she wants. Or she's not a puppy. She's a dog. She's... it's hard to believe that she's already 3 years old. We get dogs for such a short period of time, and it makes me so sad when I lose one. The last one was my first... The first dog I ever lost was when I was... Oh gosh, she was 12. So I would have been... She was born in 2003. I don't know. I was 24 when she died. And she was the best. She was a Newfoundland. And because she was the best and she was a Newfoundland, I got another one from the same guy. But she wasn't like a purebred Newfie. She was a mix between a Newfoundland and a Lab, and she just had the best disposition. She was so sweet, and yet she was still so silly. And the Lab was the part that was really fun, and the Newfie was the part that was just so relaxed all the time. And after doing some more research on the Newfies versus the Lab part, I decided that I definitely wanted another Newfoundland. So I went back to him, and I got another Newfoundland. And it's from the last batch of dogs he ever decided to breed, because Mama is getting old. This dumb lens cover thing is getting really annoying. It's awkwardly shaped, but it's right there. Sorry, that's my eBay messages. No, I'm not a seller on eBay or anything like that, but I got an eBay package today where I had to pay for the postage, and so I'm messaging the seller back and forth. Because I wasn't supposed to have to pay for the postage, basically. Not really sure what's supposed to be right next to it. It's just blank, so... Just double checking my work. Sorry, guys. I know it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense when I say random things like that. I am going to go ahead and put a couple of the screws in here, just to secure this in position, or just drop screws randomly throughout the whole freaking thing. Come here. Wasn't magnetized enough when I picked up this screw, so now I'm remagnetized. We're good. I don't know why that seems to be such an issue for this particular screwdriver that I own, but it is. This lens cover is so infuriating, because it goes on in a very specific way, I think. It's got like a square back to it. Well, the square back is in the right position, because it needs to go towards the top, and it is. Something's just keeping this from going all the way down like it should. Could just be that it's off kilter even just a little bit. And it's strange how much of a difference that will make, but it makes a big difference. Come on. Come on. Blasted thing. I don't know if you can really see what I'm struggling with, but it's this dumb little plastic lens cover thing. It's getting in the way. And if it was just round all the way around, I'd have no issues, but it's not. I think this is for the light sensor. This particular one is. I think if you put to change your backlight on your Surface. Ugh, come on, you dumb thing. The hard part is just getting it to freaking sit in one position. I have big fingers and these are little pieces. I almost wish they would have attached this to the Wi-Fi antenna like everything else. Why didn't you, Microsoft? Okay, here we are. We're in the zone. We're nearly there. Right now it feels like I am there, but okay, there we go. I've got 2 more screws to put in after this. And one of them just goes right here. Okay. Still feel like it bows up a little too much, but there's not a whole lot I can do for that, unfortunately. Not a whole lot. Put that side of the antenna down in there. It actually looks pretty flush. I think it just feels weird to me, and I don't know why. The stupid little cube thing that's on this sensor cable is actually more getting in the way than it is helping anything, so I'm taking it off. I'm trying to anyway. Try to rip it off without hurting anything else. I know it's just a cushion for this thing, but if it doesn't assist with anything, then there's no point in keeping it. Oh, goodness. I'm going to flip this, guys, so I can get a better vantage point. Got to have that vantage point. And then I need something else that's pointy. Probably another pair of tweezers. Sometimes I have to double tweeze. I have the connector positioned. And it's on. It's attached. Sweet! One connector down, one to go. Another stupid square pad thing. I can hear her fidgeting around out there. And she usually fidgets right before she comes in here. I don't have a problem with her coming in here. I just don't know why she's taking her sweet time out there. This is what she does. She like tries to sneak, and it's like, it's not really sneaking if you're in another room from me. Yep, there she is. See? Hi. Do you want to come in here and be with Daddy? You have to go lay down, though. Daddy's working. This one's a little harder because the connector is actually wider than the... it's wider than you would expect. So it's harder to position because the actual piece itself, the actual like ribbon cable itself at the tip is wider than the actual space where it clips into. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that they did it that way, but they did anyway. And so whatever. Whatever, Microsoft. Whatever. Okay, we're going to go ahead and push the antenna cable down into the groove here. Let it exist there. And now, so now it's the time for me to attach this other one. Now this other cable basically bends backwards here at kind of you can see this right here. And so this cable right here will bend the same direction. It's not going to be identical because this was done by the manufacturer, likely heated up and stayed that way. This is clearly not a brand new component here, so what I'm going to do is gently, gently, gently lift this up so I don't bend any heat pipes. Route the cable back this direction. Because it needs to tuck under the heat pipe. Like so. Oh boy, now I've lost it under the heat pipe. Certainly not the most simple process. I didn't really want to have to tear into where it meets the CPU because I didn't want to have to take the covers off and jack with any of that, but it looks like I might end up having to so I don't do any damage here. This is a fair bit of work. This one is a fair bit of work. I'm just trying to shove the Wi-Fi cable back over here. I've actually got it positioned nearly perfectly on top of the Wi-Fi antenna, or the Wi-Fi adapter. That was unsuccessful. Take two. Please don't run away from me. I have the very, very tip of the cable positioned almost perfectly. Almost. Of course, just as I say that, it runs back to the other side. I feel like I need something else to stick in here just to keep this up for a minute. That's too thick. Haha, all right, it's in there. Okay, so I didn't have to remove the fan after all, just the screws, and I did get the Wi-Fi antenna repositioned and put back where it belongs. So that makes me happy. I do still have a bit of a bump up here around this lens, and I don't like it. But that lens is just problematic. Like, it kind of extremely problematic. It's just annoying. But if I can manipulate it just a little bit, maybe I can loosen the screw up that's right next to it some, so I can wiggle it into position. It just doesn't, it's not happy right there. And if it's not happy there, it's not going to be happy on the screen. And I don't need any screen issues. It looks like maybe I've got it in backwards. Can I turn it the full 90 degrees to, or the full 180 where it's at right now? Or not really. Not really. Okay. So I'm going to loosen this up. I'm going to turn the lens the other direction. There we go. I'm going to try not to mess with the Wi-Fi cabling too much because I really don't want that to pop loose, but I need to flip the lens around so that I get a proper fitment here. And like I said, I don't really want to mess with pulling this out because then I'd have to redo the sensor cables that I did down here that are perfect. And I have to redo everything else that's already looking really good. So this lens is the problem child. So maybe I'm the problem child because I'm the one having issues with it, but just saying that I dislike it. That's all. Come on, I'm almost flipped all the way around already. So that's definitely progress. Ah, oh, for Pete's sake, my sensor cable came up. I half expected this sensor cable to actually pop up anyway, so it's not a huge deal. In the grand scheme of things, this did not take a ton of time to put down. What would be the bigger hassle is if this lens here turned sideways on me. I'm trying to keep it from doing that. There we go. There we go. Now we're happy. Okay. So that lens is back in there. I'm going to go ahead and screw this back into place. Looking good, looking good. Okay. And put this back into position as well. Okay, that's good too. There, now it's nice and flush. I love that. I love that. I love it. Okay. So now I just have to take this light sensor cable that I had here and see if I can get that pushed back down. This is the one that's fatter at the tip than it should be. Sorry guys, every little notification is going to make that sound, so I apologize. Oh, I think it's already clicked back in. Yeah, it is. All right. Well, that's done. So, happy day there. One thing I have to remind myself of is with this particular camera being where it is, if I do an action, I have to do it a little further back so you guys can actually see it, but I was thumbs upping for sure. Okay, so the next step on this guy, we're going to put some T7000 around the outside, and that'll just adhere it into position here. It's not going to be anything too crazy because we don't want to have glue going all over the inside of the computer, but we're going to... Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I'm getting ahead of myself. Definitely getting ahead of myself. You know what I forgot to do? And you probably saw it as I went to go put the glue into position. I forgot to put my screws back in over here for the fan. If you saw that before I did, congrats. You are officially more observant than I. Nope. I don't need anything cross-threading. I need you going straight. There you go. There you go, buddy. Everything needs to lay pretty flat in here because the screen, any little one-off thing that's poking up would impact the screen, and we don't want that to happen. What on earth? Just get on there. The other screws had no problem. There we go. Okay. Now we're ready for the glue. Yeah, so I'm sorry for getting y'all excited and then just tearing it away. But yeah, we're at the end stage now. So we're going to go ahead and put the glue in right along the edges. I really dislike how difficult it is to get this out of here. I don't know if it's because the tip is clogged or what, but there we go. That might work a little bit more effectively now. We're trying to pipe some really thick glue through a really small space, so I can put all the pressure I want, but it just doesn't come out quite fast enough for me. And you can see just how much pressure I'm putting on it because my hands are shaking when I'm doing it. I'll scoot over here so you guys can actually watch the process. But I want a nice bead on it, but I don't want anything too over the top. And this T7000 glue, this will actually adhere super nicely. And it'll end up being able to just be heated to be removed in the future. So this was heated before. That's how I got the screen off, that plus a suction cup. Again, I apologize for my shakiness and my strange breathing. Not trying to sound like I smoke a pack a day, but I might sound like that anyway. I'm not really too worried about this setting up while I'm putting it on because it doesn't. It actually takes about 2 hours to cure. But it will. I almost wish I had like a caulk gun for this thing. definitely feels like it would be warranted. Getting dog farts again. Ugh. You know, I love that you love being with me, Willow, but I don't like dog farts. Maybe that's the price of having a Newfie is. Well, any dog, really. Dog farts do not smell great. And there might be some extra glue to wipe off after the fact here, and I'm okay with having to do that because it's not too bad. Like if it oozes out the side of the screen, I'm not really too super concerned with that. I've really just kind of been hoping and praying that this would turn out well, and so far so good. So I'm going to go a little thinner around some of these components over here, just because they matter a little more. We're going to skip over the USB port here. Give it a little extra here. And go right along the edge there. And we're good. It almost looks like a piece that I forgot, but I think that's actually a speaker grill. Maybe not. Don't really know. I don't want to... Yeah, there's definitely one on either side, so I'm going to skip that part too. And just put the adhesive right here. A little blip blop. Looks like what they used to put this together was a double-sided... Oh, I put my finger right in it. Ugh. Dang it. Looks like they used a double-sided tape. We're not doing that. I don't have any really good double-sided tape that'll adhere this as well as what I want it to be, I guess, is the only way to put it. And if you're looking at this and thinking, why are you putting it on that? It was there before. Totally was. The only reason it's looking so clean is because I did a really thorough cleaning job. I keep doing that. I did a really thorough cleaning job on it to begin with. So by pulling all of the... I have to maintain control of it so it doesn't slide around on me. But I also need to watch what the heck I'm doing here. I'm gonna put a little bit right here. Just a little bit. Doesn't have to be crazy around the top. I'm kind of referencing my old Wi-Fi antenna for where they had the adhesive positioned. Keep it thin, but still apply it up here towards the top, because I don't want it to interfere with the camera or the lenses or anything like that. Okay, I think we're good. I think it's okay to go ahead and put the screen on now. So the other thing I have to be very, very careful and mindful of when putting this on now is I've got everything... The glue is set into position. I have to get the ribbon cables into position as well and not get glue all over our screen. So I'm going to hold the screen up right here while I put the ribbon cables into position.
hope if I was putting the ribbon cable into the right slot. And I always leave the covers on the screens. That way we don't have to deal with a whole bunch of glue all over the actual screen itself. But then this will lay right into position. And we'll go ahead and push down firmly along all the edges here. Now they said that I was supposed to put a weight on this. I don't have a weight. But they said it required a weight to actually get it to stick down. I have clamps, so I'm going to clamp it around the edges. And that should do the trick. And you'll notice that there's some bubbling out of the sides from where some of the adhesive is, but not everywhere. So this is a good thing. And I'm trying to be very, very gentle because the glass, oh boy, the glass is so frail on these things. You really don't want to take chances. I do still feel a bit of a bump on that particular part. Let me get my clamps and we're going to just let this sit to dry for a while. You stay. Dog's getting excited because I stood up here. And I got these clamps for working on iPads, but they work for everything. And the nice thing about it is when you buy them, you get like 10 clamps. So it'll definitely suffice for what we're doing here with the Surface today. So basically just take it. You don't have to be crazy with them either. All you really have to do is apply a gentle amount of pressure just to keep the screen into position. You kind of want to do it equally, space these out so that they're semi-equal. Towards the top here, it looks like it might require a little bit more clampage because it's not going into place as nicely as the bottom. Because the bottom, it's basically like sunk in. It looks really good. It looks exactly as it should. Okay, I'm going to do one more on this side. Trying to position that one as close to the corner as I can. So the sides also look really good. So I'm not super worried about pushing the sides down a lot. So we got I am going to clamp the other side, so don't worry. Like it's going to be clamped pretty evenly. I'm probably only going to do 2 clamps on the bottom because it doesn't need a ton. Because like I said, the bottom is looking good, and then I'll do a clamp on either side. But the top is where we mess with the Wi-Fi cable and where it just feels like it needs a little bit more love. So I will give it to it. Okay, and then that one's already undone all the way, so now that we've got the clamps on the top there, I'll go ahead and put it a clamp here. And these clamps have like rubber on them so that they're a little more gentle with the distribution of pressure as well. and they don't damage anything. I love them. Sometimes I'll use them for cell phones. If the cell phone looks like it might need some clamping. Okay, there we go. So now the iPad basically, or not the iPad, because I was just talking about iPads. The Surface just basically needs to sit now for a few hours, and then once it's done sitting, we'll go ahead and pull this cover off and just clean up the edges a little bit with with just my microfiber cloth here, and then the Surface will be ready to return to its owner. So this has been the repair of the Surface. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.